Us everyone. Welcome to Kumite 360 here with Shian Anthony in New Jersey, New York, or New Jersey, and in the USA. Yeah, my apologies, but a real pleasure to have Shian on the call today and have a great chat. Shian's got a fantastic story to share. I touched base with him via social media just in regards to the way he's been putting a lot of fantastic content out there, and I suggest you all have a look at it. No doubt I'll put it up. But Shian, how you going? How's your day? It's Sunday evening there. Thank you so much for acknowledging my invite, and it's a real pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out, Sensei. No, anytime I have the opportunity to talk martial arts, I'm in. I can
Yeah.
talk for hours about it. So I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Yeah, the content again, the way the world is, you've been in the arts for a long time. How long have you been in the martial arts slash Kyokushin, or has it taken you before that?
No, I started back in the 80s. So I
Yeah,
started back in 87.
right.
So I'm going on 38 years,
Congrats.
and it's been a good ride.
Yeah. Who it started with Kyokushin for you?
Yeah, so I mean, if I go back to the beginning when I was
Yeah.
a kid, I lived in like a rural town, and there was nothing, and there wasn't
Right.
really any martial arts back then. I mean, you could see some offshoots of Taekwondo and
Yeah.
whatnot. So really 40, 50 years ago, very limited on, training martial arts. And I remember my grandmother brought me to the bookstore, and I found a book on karate.
Uh-huh.
And I went home because, I felt like as a young kid, I had this insatiable need, like I needed to protect myself, bullied as a kid and, all different kinds of abuse as a kid. And I wanted to defend myself. And I
Yeah,
used
right.
to, I remember this, Sensei, like it
Yeah.
was yesterday.
Yeah.
I would be in my bedroom looking at the book and
Yep.
doing like the two knuckles and the
Yeah.
blocks, knowing what the hell I was doing. And then subsequently, years later, I went to college in Maryland, rural Maryland, and I saw a sign interested in karate, call this number. And I did. And awesome guy answered the phone. Next thing you know it, I'm in this dojo.
Yeah.
And, I'm just like, I have no idea what's happening.
Right.
And I see this guy kind of saunter in with like this white gi with the black belt
Uh-huh.
over his shoulder. And I was like, whoa, like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And class started, and it was it was off to the races for me. And that was bare knuckle, bare shin, old school Kyokushin. And I did not know any different with martial arts. You could have told me boxing,
Yes.
judo,
Yes.
that I knew bare knuckle. That's all it was my world at the time.
And so it obviously it took you not by surprise, meaning you were you did you feel immune to it? Did you know how people go, this is me, this is something I need, this is
I
exactly what I'm looking
I
for.
knew, yeah, I knew immediately. I embraced every inch of it.
Yeah.
Where I would see some of these phenomenal athletes, they were
Yeah.
just physical specimens, big, and everything I would have wanted at that time,
Got
right?
it. Got it.
They just didn't have that. They didn't have it.
Yeah.
And definitely back in the day, it took a special person to kind of
Yeah.
endure that Kyokushin lifestyle. It was just day in, day out, really hard poundings. And, I've had talks with my instructor later in life, and we talked about that, saying, how many really good people missed out on good, the opportunity to train in Kyokushin, but they didn't because we beat the crap out of them,
Yes. Yes.
and
Yes.
they just weren't able. So when I finally had the opportunity to say I'm going to teach and open my own school, I just said, you know what? I have to rethink this and allow people to
Right.
crawl before they walk, before they run,
Right.
and give them that opportunity to, see what we call the phoenix, the phoenix. Well, we are phoenix.
Yes. Yes.
Be that phoenix, just push them to rise, push them to, be
Right.
more, want more, all that stuff. So this has been a heck of a ride for me. I can
Yeah,
tell you that.
well, that's a nice segue, and I appreciate your backdrop there, because what has occurred and what got my attention again, and what I was gesturing at the start was the social media means allows us, people like me in surf coast of Australia, to see someone in New Jersey and see the content and see what's happening. And there's a couple of things that resonated a lot with me and the teachings that I've been trying to work on in my next chapter of my dojo, my school here in Melbourne, is this term that I'm using, that there is two types of terms that we express. One is knockdown Kyokushin karate, the sport side, the rules, the specifics, the tournament, the flavor of what a lot of people see out there, and then real Kyokushin karate, 360, all of it combined. And a lot of your content has been fantastic because it has taken away, I feel, or it has exposed your students not very, very well, but it has also acknowledged the teaching methods that you are showing and that you are instilling. And again, you hinted earlier, there was the pounding days of the passion crash, I call it, of how many students did we not take care of enough. And now here in just a brief history here in Melbourne or in my school, we have 25 odd adult students, but of them, the cycle has changed in the pedigree of fighters that compete, 3-4 tournaments a year, to accountants, lawyers, doctors, plumber, different means, different reasons behind why they're wanting to learn this art. How is that transition for you?
I would tell you this. You know, I was very fortunate that I had, I have the instructor that I have. So I've been with Concho Dan Solar for 38 years.
Yes.
And, this has been 38 years of consecutive training, always training. I mean, I never took off. He's never taken off.
Right.
And I do see being under him, his philosophy and mentality on the martial arts was, every time I was so enthralled in wanting to do the tournaments, he's like, get an education,
Right.
train hard, train often, and go out and make a difference.
Sure.
And I didn't understand that when I was 19, 20, 21, because I just wanted to beat the crap out of everybody.
Yeah.
And he was very good at making sure I've got my Kumite time in, and he knew how to handle me. I was the nail that needed to be tapped back
Got it.
down,
Yeah.
and he was the man to do it. But I would say we have a very progressive style of teaching. I mean, I believe that to be relevant in today's age,
Yep.
if we're going to do a pure Kyokushin knockdown style, it's really not relevant to go out in the real world and be applicable in a self-defense endeavor. Now, are you going to be still a tough son of a gun, bare knuckle, bare shin? Yes, I agree. But I learned long ago that, years ago, fighting, let's just say a lot of the sport martial artists at the time, it was really not a competition for bare knuckle, full contact Kyokushin fighters. But then as things were progressing, people were getting more into boxing, takedowns, wrestling, jujitsu, Thai boxing, Muay Thai. All of this started to come. And then I said to myself, okay, if I'm going to continue to be relevant, and
Got it.
am I going to get stuck in the 90s? Or am I going to progress to the 2000s and on? So I said, okay, the first thing I did was I got on a train, and I was taking the train up to the city to train with Henry Gracie in the
Nice.
basement of his place. And that was like getting thrown into the lion's den, right?
For sure.
And so jujitsu became very important to me. Judo became important to me.
Yep.
Boxing became important to me. And then I transitioned into 20 plus years ago into training fear adrenal stress training. So really honing in on the mental side of self-defense. And I put it all together and I teach it there. But I think at the end of the day, let's say jiu-jitsu. We all know jiu-jitsu is awesome, right?
Yes.
But for me, I had to make a decision. Am I going to be a jits guy?
Right.
Am I going to be what am I going to be? Now
Gotcha.
I specialize in stand-up striking.
Yes.
I love it. I got an eye for it. I have a passion for it. I love it.
Yep.
And that's where I can drive my, inner, strength to go and empower other people.
Sure.
we need to know the ground? Yes. So we teach more of a progressive ground
Got it.
fighting
Yep.
where they're going to understand the basics of the ground. But I
Yes.
tell people, if you want the ground and if you
Yes.
want to go compete in the next tournament, I'm not your guy.
Right. 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 Yep.
I'm not your guy. But
Yep.
if you want to come in, learn a functional skill of self-defense, get in really good shape, and be around a good community of people,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the place to be.
That's good to know. That's a nice way of putting it, Shian. And that's the a topic I did last week was cross training. I called it cross training. And the reason I'm bringing this up is just the concepts that you've just brought up. There are some karatekas, full contact stand up style fighters and students that need to keep the blinkers either on or realize that the blinkers need to kind of step back a little bit as well. And that's where I fell in that. I was a culprit of that, of just compete. My Shian was, we were in world tournaments, all Japan's, da 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 da. 15 years straight of just competition and just focusing on that. Then the next tenure was to develop the next group of students. So I fell into that world, which was fantastic, right? And you develop that next pedigree of fighters and then black belts. But then and meaning the last 4 years or so, again, this extra cross training part of starting to fundamentally build outside of your stand-up game and taking it to a beginner's level. Wearing the white belt at JITS for the last couple of years is just fantastic for the soul, fantastic for just keeping things at bay, I call just treading nicely, but instilling a lot of those, I call it tips and tricks to a degree, instilling the, hey, hands up who's been in the Kyokushin dojo, meaning we have the platform of Kyokushin. Now, like yourself, you are adding in the kakes to the back of the neck, bringing in the hizageris, bringing in the gi grab, bringing in the sweeps. The ashiwazas was one I show as well, and you were doing a fantastic job in just sweeping some of the poor students of yours that were demoing, but the ashiwazas, the kakes, the knee drives, and the I guess the grappling side of it. Again, when we use the word
You
grappling,
know,
you might use
I'm
it
gonna I'm,
differently,
I'm gonna tell you one thing that you just sparked something in my
right?
mind.
Yes,
You just said the what did you say? Like the dummies that we were sweeping, I was sweeping.
the
You
demos.
know, we all laugh, right? Because I was that guy too. I
Oh
was the
yeah,
guy getting ass kicked, swept, knocked, kicked down. But I would tell you this. I really was thoughtful in thinking about my lifetime of teaching. Those people that I would use as my example most of the time generally turned out to be my best.
yeah, right.
They could handle it. They sucked it up and they just had a different grit. They had a different connection with me. And plus, don't forget, we're not there to hurt them.
No,
But they get it, I get it, and sometimes we as instructors we get a little
yes,
excited, and
yes.
sometimes something just kind of goes. My teacher was the same way. I used to get the shit knocked out of me, but so it just made me laugh. But I do think that those that I used a lot became some of my best students.
Let me ask you this: Has Ashihara and Enshin karate been an influence to some of the things that you do?
Uh,
And I,
I had trained with many Enshin guys,
right,
and some of them in my early years, I was fascinated by them because they were so good. Because Kyokushin was not that,
right,
and
yes,
they would come hook, pull us offline, and then there's the Mawashi up in our face. I
correct,
found that was very remarkable, but it really wasn't like the needle mover for me.
got it.
What happened was as I started to evolve and started to see this, because a lot of times you'll see in the videos in the comments, the moment we hook, like I'm a big believer. I don't put, I'm a big believer in trapping, grabbing, using all those,
Yes, it's great.
but the thing is, well, that's not Kyokushin. Okay, well, it's our Kyokushin. It's like
Mm,
this is the way we do it.
mm,
Because I just believe I've done this so many times. If you
mm.
really want an outcome, some of the best outcomes is through those through how we grab and strike and things like that.
No, well, I'm surprised. And when again, we're not here to, and again, when I say this isn't a political means of
Yeah.
who said what, this is a great conversation already. But
Yeah.
when there's grabbing and pulling, this is the best part of Kyokushin. This is the best part. With
Love it.
our Hikate for so long in Irogeko and in Kihon is always neglected, right? We're just practicing the technique and the arm. There is something there. There is something else there, I say. And if there's something else there, now we have to show you. When we do the Shutomomoshis, the turning Shutomoshi, Uke or Uchis, what are you doing? What exactly is that? That is something that is where that strike hits the neck, and there is and all these above, and that is the magic I feel that needs to continue to be shown, like yourself, and putting it out there. It's really good.
Well, I would say like you just said, like Hikite. Like to me, like I grew up like old school. Like he walked around with the stick.
Yeah,
So
sure.
like that was like it was like tucked, pronated, elbow was behind my back. And if it wasn't there, there was a repercussion. So I spent my whole life like
Yeah.
pronating and really getting there. And even if we're in drills, I really worked that to death. So then by the time, we're doing takedowns and I'm grabbing and I'm cinching and I'm grabbing,
Ah,
and people would be like, God, your grip.
grip.
And yeah, because you guys are just, you're basically holding. I'm grabbing. I'm
Got it.
getting dirty with it. Like you guys are like, if we're throwing kicks and we're in Mosso Dolce and our
Yes.
hands are on our belts, like you guys are kind of there. Like I'll have my hands in the knot, working my forearms, working my grip. I'm like always working
Great call.
to be better
Great
and
call.
trying to make it applicable.
Yes.
Even if we're doing sit-ups in our gi, holding the gi, I'm working on my grip.
Got it.
So I think you should always be in the process. Like anything that I do, I
Yes.
try to make it applicable to my martial art.
That's a great reminder for everyone. That is a fantastic reminder. And again, it gets forgotten because you get in there and it's go time, right? And you want to get a
Yeah.
good session and workout. But these are the one percenters, I call them in they call them in sports, the little one percenters all add up.
Yeah.
Has again in just backtracking a little bit of your expertise and knowledge, when you did those other cross training means, um you used a word before, you molded, or this is our Kyokushin, this is your Kyokushin. And there's a real famous saying, an interview that Shian Cameron Quinn from Australia did with Sosai Masayama in New York at the time. And he said, one of the interview people said, "Oh, well, what is Kyokushin?" And then you hear Sosai say, "Well, there's Cameron Kyokushin, there's Shian Anthony Kyokushin, there's Pat Kyokushin. Everyone's got," and that was so cool to hear, because he's like, "Hey, man, Kyokushin is just going to go where it goes because of these good people." How have you, again, taken these bits and pieces of what you've done for such a long time to make it get to a point where you used another word? You said self-defense to a degree. When the students that you're teaching, are you showing them to fight? Are you using that type of terminology? This is how you are defending out there, or
So,
like
so
your
listen.
method of it?
Most of the time you see the keyboard warriors, they're watching our
Nah,
stuff. They have no clue
nah,
about what we're doing.
nah.
So if we're in the dojo and you see us in a Kumite endeavor, dojo sparring,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
And it's semi-competitive, right? Because we're friends. We
Hmm.
still all want to do well, but we're not looking to kill each other.
Absolutely.
So, so no, if we're bare knuckle, yeah, we're, going.
Sure.
Obviously, you
Sure.
know how it is, right?
Yep.
We're digging
Yep.
into the body or kicking
Yep.
controlled kicks to the head. But there's like Monday nights at the dojo, I make sure they wear board shorts, t-shirt.
I
It's the only
see.
time I let them do it. And I'm like, all right, up to the wall. And it's just, you pushed, hands go up, how you're firing out, the knees, elbows, tight fighting. And there's your reality. Because
Got it.
reality isn't hands here, punching to the body. I mean, come on, I
Yes.
get
Yes.
that.
Correct.
And that's the progression that I'm trying to say. Like, so
Mm,
there's my reality. So I think it's very important that cross training is there. But I would tell you this, when I started to train with Henzo Gracie,
mm.
and the more I was becoming I was getting the hang of the ground.
Sure.
And the better I was getting on the ground, the more confident my stand-up was.
Beautiful.
Happened like that because I couldn't quantify it at the time because I didn't know any different.
Of course.
But then all of a sudden, I was like, yeah, okay, you want to shove me? And I want to shoot him, double leg takedown, grab, throw, whatever. Or I go to the ground. I could either scramble, get back to my feet, or look for a submission. It changed my mentality for stand-up.
Nice. Nice.
And, I think it was very important. And it does dictate some of my stand-up because I see what can be very vulnerable to somebody who's a wrestler or a jits guy. So, because like I have a lot of guys who are super strong, man. If they, you want to throw a he's a gorilla, you want to throw a knee up there, and they grab your
Love it.
knee, and you next thing you know it, you're
Yeah,
six
in the
feet
roof.
up, 6 feet under, right? So, but here's the reality. I think you said 42.
43, yep. Years
43.
old. Yep.
So at 42, 43, I think I was still eating nails and running through walls, right? I'm
Nice.
turning 56
Congrats.
and things have really changed. And I think the
Yes.
longevity came from really adhering to, like, I'm still a big proponent of kata.
You know what? Sorry to cut you off.
No,
The next question was going to be, nice segue was, have you taken some of these extra parts of these cross training elements into your kata bunkai explanations as well?
yes. And I will tell you
Absolutely.
this. I will tell you this.
Go
You
for it.
give me you give me any tough guy. Give me the champion of the world.
Sure.
I'd say, okay, come on. You know what? I'm gonna say one thing before I talk about
Yeah, yeah,
kata.
yeah.
I remember my concho. Like I always thought I'll beat everybody in the room when I was younger. And I probably could at that time. But I remember one day, he made a big circle, put me in the middle. And in Phoenix, particularly for, let's say, a knee dan, to get your
Uh-huh.
knee dan,
Uh-huh.
that's like kind of like you better know what you're getting
Oh,
ready for.
absolutely.
We all know what knee dan is. In
Absolutely.
Phoenix, it's a Kumite test.
Sure.
That's all it is. We
Okay.
don't care about anything else. Can you endure
Uh-huh.
this test? Which is,
Nice.
it could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, it could be all weekend. One man in, and that's it. Now,
Wow.
don't forget, you're a good guy. I'm a good guy.
Yep.
Yours testing. I'm going to push you hard,
Yes.
but I'm not in there to take your head off when your hands are at your
Of
hips,
course. Of
right?
course. Yep.
But I'm going to get those hands up, and I want you to thrive in there.
Yes.
And I would say this is the best lesson I learned from my concho. I remember I must have been feeling it, right? And Ring of Oyama. I don't know if you call it Ring of Oyama. We call it Ring of Oyama at
Okay.
Phoenix.
No.
And we just make a big circle for Kumite.
Got it.
Make a big
We call it
circle.
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank. Okay. We call it Ring of Oyama.
Nice.
So he calls me, puts me in the middle, and that was it. One man in, one man out. One man in, one man out. And I was dying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice.
And I was trying to find it. And he
Got
was
it.
like, "Oh, you doing okay? Okay, okay, next." And after class, I was beat
Yep.
up.
Yeah, nice.
And he said to me, he says, listen to me.
Yes.
He said, you remember one rule. He says, you can't beat the room.
Got it.
You remember that? And I said, holy shit. So, and what did I really take away from that?
Sure.
It doesn't matter if you're Conor McGregor. It doesn't matter if you're Mike Tyson. That's all irrelevant to our life, right? It's what is Kyokushin? What does this martial arts journey mean for me on a
Yes.
spiritual level? And at the end of the day, at 55, there's guys who I'm training at 25, 30. They may not be as good as me, but they really have that killer in
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
And are they going to weather the punches better than me?
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
So where my concho really kept me on the path was with Kata. And I've learned
Nice.
that Kata does not lie.
Got it.
See, full contact can lie. My my cardio, my strength,
Hmm.
my physicality, my mindset. My kicks could be just okay, but I could still dominate. But show me a kata. Show me your side thrust.
Hmm.
Show me where you're at.
Got it.
Show me your kata.
Yeah.
And I remember there was times where I was like, God, my side thrust is just not there. And I sat there, I would just sit there by myself, hours, side thrust, side thrust, side thrust, because I needed it to look good in the kata.
Sure.
And through kata made me definitely understand the focus of technique, my breath control,
Yes.
all these things that we get out of kata, and it's giving me the longevity as I
Yes.
get older to be more relevant, continue to train. And if you really, really are authentic and honest with yourself and you bust out kata, that's the hardest workout. It's harder than a full contact round.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I mean,
Great
we laugh
call.
about it.
No, yeah, I laugh about it because even we used to have a Tuesday morning session with my Shian, right? Tuesday morning, 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. And we were three young bucks, 23, 24, 25, three. And we would do kata from the beginning, from Te Kyokushin Ichi, and we were brown belts at the time. So we would get up to just Tensho. Shian would say, just get up to Tensho. And obviously, and then we would do it, and he'd go, and back down and go down from Tensho all the way
Oh,
back. So we would do that 45, 50 minutes. And the process, the discipline, no drink break, no drink break. I say it in a, you're in the zone and you're in that moment. So we did that for a full year on Tuesday mornings. We would get in, do that, and then we'd do some extra bits after that though. So yeah, that was in what I'm bringing up and sharing with you is just some different methods and approaches to kata. Where we are at here in my dojo is the part of kata has been an integral part of the syllabus for the students that are non-fighters. Now, that doesn't mean they don't fight in the dojo, as in the competitive, that extra hours of training that you would do as a fighter, bag work, mitt work, get over there. You're
right.
fighting when are you fighting? Oh, 2 months. All right. So you move over here, you've got to work your butt. But there's 90% of the other students are like, so we're not doing that shit, like we're not competing in the
What are we
nationals.
going to
So
do?
so we'll so we would I would put a bit more of an emphasis and acknowledging the age. The age of most of my students at certain times is they're over 40. I've got a nice influx of 25s and 30-year-olds, just a handful, and it's just the cycle of operating a dojo. And the importance of kata has definitely dissected each student's strengths and weaknesses, and it then up to Shodan for those listening is the basics. You are learning as many as you can, and you're providing the instructor a good level of understanding the specifics of it. Then from Shodan to Nidan, you are going to have to deep dive a little bit more. You're going to have to explore the reason that why did your hand go here? And in some of our gradings, Shian, I'm not sure how you do it, but we would ask the Shodan black belt Nidan to explain what you're doing. So, Yan Sun, what are you doing? 1, 2, 3, 4. What? Walk us through it. Walk us through it like that. And
You,
it is
you
a
know,
test on the day,
it's
but we've
interesting
we've
though.
we've we've studied it here and there. But even that is going even further into someone having to explain exactly. And lastly, which I'll segue back to you, and then I say to him, do I believe it? Do you believe what you're doing? You know what I
Wow,
mean?
that's good. I
You know what I
like
mean?
that.
Do you believe it? And they go, well, oh, in the explanation. So I would base it on a scenario. Tell me the scenario you're in, then build your case. So tell me the scenario. Did someone double lapel grab? Did someone get you in a grip? Did someone grab your wrist? Go. And then it's like, oh, okay, I can build it around that. Yeah, you can
I
build it.
like that.
Yeah.
But I would say I was fortunate enough 30 years ago to meet up with
Mm,
basically my brethren in the martial arts.
hmm.
he's Shihan now, Shihan Omar Rojas. He actually was doing Taekwondo back in the day.
Okay. Okay.
And he was going up for his black belt, and then he and I trained one day. He was actually my superior. I work in finance, by the way.
Got it.
And so I was working in a unit, and he was above me. And
Right.
he told me he did karate, and I was like, oh, well, let's train, because
Yeah.
there wasn't many people to train with back then.
Right. Right.
So we went to some like local YMCA,
Got it.
and we were broke, of course, so we're all sneaking in wherever we're trying to train. And he said, "Well, let's spar." I was like, "Oh, great!" And he comes at me and he does like this foot was up in my face, and I just whap threw that one leg kick. And he's like, what the? And he's on his ass and he's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the look on his face. I was like, "Holy shit, what the hell did I just do?"
Oh,
And
right.
I'm
Right. Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
my job, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
my
Yeah. Yeah. Too
and
much
I went
conflict.
home. I said to my wife, I said, "Holy shit." And I remember he came to me later and he's like, "Hey, I'm quitting Taekwondo."
Right.
He's
Yep.
like, "I want to train with you." I was
Okay.
like, "What do I know? I'm a kid. I'm 90, I'm a black belt, but I was young."
Sure.
And we went on this journey together,
Oh,
not even
cool.
realizing how this Taekwondo guy, who was 130 pounds,
Yeah.
turned out to
Right.
probably be one of the best pound for pound full contact fighters I've ever known in my life.
Oh, wow.
And I learned more from him, kicking and things of that nature. And we
Yes.
had this symbiotic training methodology. Like he had that fight, and
Got it.
just we both had it. And I don't know where I'd be today without that one guy, you
Oh, that's
know?
impressive, isn't it? How
Yeah,
cool is that?
yeah, it's interesting because I'm getting ready for something in Phoenix next
Okay.
summer. And I said to him, I said, "Hey, bud, I need your help."
Yeah.
I said, "We got to train."
Yeah. Right.
And I met him 2 Saturdays ago, and he just has an eye for me. He can just coach me like nobody else.
That's
And
sweet.
so we're going, and I was like, man, this is humbling, because I was sucking wind,
Got it.
I was just hurt. And he's like, "Oh, it's okay." And then I met him again over the weekend, and it's just amazing to feel like a
Yes.
student again.
That's good. You need to be around the yin and yang to a
Yeah,
degree.
but my point about him was, if you ask him what that means to him
Sure.
and what does it mean to me, they're
Yep.
completely two different things. It's like, because he's 130 pounds, I'm 200 pounds.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was another way that, like, we were really good at bouncing off each other, from kids to smaller adults and women, because he had a different perspective from a 130, 140 pound guy. And so
Good
I've learned
point.
a lot from him over the years, and Kata really was a great tool for us to kind of exhibit this through Bunkai.
That's really cool for you to explain that, because there is always part of the journey, the moment or the catch of what makes uh, everything make a bit more sense. It gives you a little bit more clarity towards it. And that's part of the cool bit of sharing the platform that we have in Kyokushin to that degree. Where I'm exploring it now is, hey, I just got wrapped up because I'm fortunate I get to cross train with BJJ, and for example, without these types of training partners, which I'm fortunate to have in a similar story to yours, and but my best buddy is a training partner of mine for 20 years. Now he does security. He's a security guard. So like there's no like he's that's what he does, and that's what he's very good at. However, when we've been doing some gripping and grabbing and ashiwazas, and I use my kote, yeah, this part into the
Yeah.
into the into the neck or on the ground, and grab the grip and grab the lapel and drive the kote into your Adam's apple.
Yeah. Well,
Well, goddamn, is he like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, stop, let's chat. Why is that? And that, yeah, you
yeah.
need these types of people in your lives for sure. Shian, the part of where the social media angle has come in with your Instagram page, which again I'll put up for everyone to see, is how did that come about for you? Meaning 38, 40 years in the arts and reading books and acknowledging videos and DVDs as we all did. And now it's come to a degree where I'd love to hear your take on, hey, you know what? The decision's been made. We're going to be putting it out there. We're going to have others see it. A Pat Pinto in Torquay, Australia is watching this now, you know, and to your students and to everyone else in your dojo, well done, because the word I use is the mystique was gone when YouTube came about, and we were no longer having to go to Japan to buy the 1987 Fourth World Tournament on a video to then put it onto a DVD for then four of us to have it. All of a sudden it pops up. Then you're starting to see all these other fantastic things. So it is taking it to another level. The mystique is gone, but now we need to be exposing what you are doing. How did that kind of trigger? How did that come about for you, and why you
You know,
continue to do it?
I was not very good over the years, and if I look back, if I got to speak to my 20-year-old self, there's a lot I would tell him. Tell him there's a lot of things I tell him about
Sure.
life. But I always shied away from I shied away from the camera.
Okay.
I didn't want pictures. I didn't want to do video. And then as the years started going on, people were like, what? My kids, my wife, friends,
Sure.
why aren't you videoing? And I started doing a little bit, and then all of a sudden at camp this year, we do a Camp Phoenix every year. This is our 42nd camp. There's a video
Awesome.
online.
Yes.
See us
Saw it. Fantastic.
training in the lake and everything.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I was like, well, I could do this.
Mm.
I could start doing more videos. Then I did one, did two, did three. And then all of a sudden, this has only been like 2.5 months,
Yeah. That's what I,
these videos, it
yep.
just started,
Yep.
but I didn't anticipate it to blow up the way it did.
Yep.
I, I can't imagine the amount of, people reaching out for,
Yep.
the number one martial arts magazine wants me
Yep.
for, the
XYZ.
magazine.
I've contacted you. Yep.
You contacted me. People contacted me from different countries to do Zoom
Yep.
training for their kids for thousands of dollars. I'm like, what is happening right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
But I realized that there's going to be an audience for somebody. And somebody wants, like, they may see or hear something different from me that they're not from
Correct.
that one karate guy, where I'm like, why the hell are they looking at me? Because that guy's friggin' awesome. Like,
Correct.
you have YouTube, I have YouTube.
Yep.
And I'm realistic. Like, I know what I can do, and then I could see. I mean, come on, Sensei.
Yep.
You look at sometimes some guys throw a kick or this,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Come on.
awesome.
Yep.
And so, hey, but that doesn't mean I won't aspire and work harder to even just, hey, I'm not too old where I can't still
Sure.
do that
Yeah.
or try to get
Good
there.
one.
So, but these videos have been inspiring to my students.
Yes.
I'm trying to give them a platform. If you notice, there was one video on there. One of my students, he's like 63, 64.
Okay.
He's shredded.
Nice.
And listen, he's got some limitations, right? He's a
Of
little bit
course.
older. But man, he was banging away, blocking, punching, kicking. And I was like, fuck
Awesome.
yeah, put this fucker up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Man.
Put it up there. It's like 11,000 views in
Yeah.
like 48 hours.
Yeah. Kudos to
But
that
but
lad. Yep.
but what does it do for him? Number one, it gives him some acknowledgement that, hey man, you're doing awesome.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
inspiring me. You're inspiring our students. You're doing good stuff. You're healthy. You're strong. These are all things that are
Absolutely.
important. It's very important.
That's a
Longevity and health is so important in life,
that's a shout out to Senpai Nick, my student, 68 years old, the Greek freak we call him because he's got Greek. He's a
Love it.
Greek. He's a Greek Adonis. He's 5'6". Each month, Shian, we do a 50 rounds, 50 by 1 minute rounds with shin pads and gloves. right? And we invite anyone and everyone. Don't matter who you are, you want to come and get better with us. And we encourage it. Every photo we do for the last 3 years, Nick, and I had my army mate, my military mate. He's the best mate of mine. He goes, "Who's that guy?" Every time you put a freaking post up, he's fucking there. Who is that guy? And I go, "You don't want to know him. He doesn't want to know you." Yeah, I just stir the pot a bit, and I'm like, he's yeah, so yeah, shout out to those lads and well done to you in doing that type of in seeing that element to it, because it is exactly what you said. It is, there were about five positive things that you've just reeled off on that. It's great for the students, it's great for that person, it's great for all these benefits. And I think time and time again with the way I've taught as well is similar to what you said. Hey, there are other. Why would anyone want to watch what I do? There are other better people out there. You fall into that trap. But I think one encouragement that I've got is by watching all the other BJJ. And now that's just the flavor of my last couple of years on the side of not having my blinkers on with Kyokushin is, but they don't say that, and there are thousands in comparative to Kyokushin teachers like yourself that are putting relevant content out there. In comparative to BJJ, you can type in BJJ now, you will get anyone and everyone showing you this move, that
Right.
move, the way
Yep.
they interpret this. No, 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 you can go this way and that way, and then bang, and that's got X amount of views and people watching, and that's happened. The key to what I've done with this element was that no one was well no one was doing it the way I wanted to do, which was the following. I have a segment called like Forever the Student that I did a couple of years ago over that COVID period. And Forever the Student meaning tell us your journey, tell us your chapter, tell us what's going on. And as you would see the theme, everyone continues to be the student. Everyone is still learning and moving. And your content, for example, with me is another, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. And and like they say, if you don't like it, don't watch it. That's
Right.
okay.
I agree. I
But,
agree with you. It's
but
funny. The other day, one of my I was teaching a kids class. Now, this is my fourth generation. So I've got kids that
got
started
it
with me
now.
when they were 5 and they're 30 now.
Yes.
I'm blessed that they still come back
Yeah,
and they still,
cool. That's cool.
I've seen these kids, as you have.
Yes.
I've helped raise these kids.
Yes.
And so it was interesting, Sensei.
Yes.
This year, it was time to restart the new kids program.
Got it.
I call it the Confident Kids program because at the end of the
Cool.
day, what
Cool.
I found is my job is to really help these children find their authentic voice.
Beautiful.
If I can make them confident, strong, and teach them how to use their voice, and
Mm,
that's a big part of my program for the kids
mm.
is role playing and helping them in all different kinds of facets of using their voice. But
That's
that's
good.
for another
That's
day.
cool. Yeah.
But so anyway, I was like, I don't think I have it in me.
Okay.
I said to my wife, I says, I think I'm done. I don't
Yep.
think I have it in me to teach another
Yeah.
generation of kids.
Got it.
And I stepped away for a little bit. And one of my students, she's awesome, Senpai Taylor.
Cool.
And you should watch a little bit of her on my
Yeah.
channel. She's a beast
Awesome.
and adorable. You never know it. She'd take your head off.
Beautiful.
And she was going back to school. And I really kind of had to step back in.
Uh-huh.
And now we're teaching 4, 5, and 6 year olds.
Yes.
And I walked in the door and I was like, how am I going to do this? And one
The
of the
real
kids,
Shihan comes out.
yeah, because I'm tough in there. And one of the kids kind of looked at me and she was a little 4 years old.
Yep.
She came over and these kids don't,
Yeah.
I there's lines we don't cross in there, but it was funny. She was really upset, and I didn't know her yet. And little girl, and she was like looking. She had a tear in her eye, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" I picked her up, little tiny, and I'm holding her, and I was like, "Okay, I got to do this." And
Right
so I
on.
taught class that night, and somebody videoed it.
Got it.
I don't even remember somebody was videoing, and he's like, "Shihan, you got to post this." I'm like,
Right.
"Dude." who's gonna want to watch this? He's like, come on, just like I'll edit it. We're gonna put it on
Nice.
YouTube.
All right.
So I'm like, fuck. I'm
Yeah,
like, all
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah,
put it on.
yeah,
He texts me. He's like, holy shit. He's like, this is on pace to being more viewed and more commented than our $1 million,
yeah,
excuse me, our million post hit. I'm like,
yeah,
are you kidding me?
yeah, yeah,
And he's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's so my
yeah,
point is, it was something that I didn't think people wanted to see,
yeah,
but people are hungry to watch somebody authentically
yeah, yeah, yeah.
teaching and caring,
Spot
but
on.
but teaching real shit.
Yeah, yep.
These kids, 4, 5, and 6, Pat, I'm still teaching them hip throw, lift them off the ground,
Nice.
drop them,
Yeah,
teach them how to break fall, teach them
yeah,
how to
yes,
roll. But
yes.
they're going to know how to do double legs, hip throws, all the shit, bare knuckle, no pads.
Yeah.
I don't have kids put pads on our
Oh
dojo.
shit. Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
No
nice.
way.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
tell the parents, I'm like, we don't do it. It says they don't have their armor in the world. They're not going to have it in here
All right.
unless we do something very progressive where the repetition hitting bag, but other than that, bare knuckle, bare shit.
Got it.
Because at that age, they can't hit each other hard enough yet to hurt each other,
Yeah,
right?
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but that's my way. It
No,
doesn't have to be
and that's
everybody's way.
great that you share that. I really
Yeah.
appreciate your a big part of getting you on. I could see the way you would passionately voice the way you're going about it. And that's the cool bit of having this chat. And the reason, sincere reason, I'm like, he's going to be a fun chat. This would be great, and it's great to learn off each other and do it. You know, one of the things that I do with the kids program, and I'm in a similar boat. I'm into the third generation of kids. I taught my Shian's class of kids, and now when I taught them, his 5 year old son at the time when I taught got married, had a kid, turned 30 last year. And it's like, what the fuck? Jesus, right. Okay. Yeah.
I
So,
know.
so now, and the other scary part of adding towards, yeah, you can wear these black belts and beautiful bars on the belts of years of knowledge and experience. Now I get to teach my kids. So I've got a 5 year old, 8 year old, and 11 year old. But our latest child, Luna, who's 5, has started her journey, and
Your
it's like,
daughter?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got 3. Yeah, they've all done that. They've all done. They're all doing karate. But
Love it.
our last child, our 5 year old, had just start. I said, you don't start until you're 5, and she's busting at the seams. So now she starts as well. Now, I just wanted to add back to what you said, but I tell the kids and the parents, you bring them here. You are here because my job that mum and dad instill me with is to make you see your potential away from school. So school, you have a potential, but now I'm going to make it even more of a realistic thing. I'm going to make you see that you can come in and you start with 10 push-ups and you look at me like I'm a piece of shit. And then when you get to one term in, 12 weeks in, now you're doing 50 push-up, meaning 10 push-ups, 10 seconds behind the back, 10 seconds behind the back, 10 seconds holding. I got 5-year-old kids and I'm like, you tell me if your mates or other kids could do that. They can't do that. And then they come in and they have to bow us when they come into the dojo, and they have to
Yep.
bow us when they leave the dojo. And even the parents, when they come in, they're like, g'day. Am I meant to say, oh, sorry? And I'm like, get in here.
I
But
love
it's
it.
showing the students all these really cool things that I love doing. And I feel your energy with the, oh, fucking hell, shit, can I continue to do this? And I'm at a similar boat here in the community I'm in, because I could boom it. I could, since I've got 25 students, we teach once a week on a Tuesday night, and I've got 12 to 13, 5, 6, 7, 8 year olds, and I've got 12 to 13, 9, 10, 11, 12 year olds. I could have triple that. However, I got a job, I got kids, I got a beautiful wife, I got a dog, I got a house, I got fly here and there for work. And that's the part that kind of gets me as well, with the way you can put some things out to the social media. However, I'm only teaching the kids once a week, you know, and ideally they should be doing, I don't know how many nights you do with that program, but I feel ideally kids and teens should have two nights. But
Yeah. And
in
I
today's
agree with you.
age, in today's way, in giving it back to you, is there's so many other activities, so many things. You know, my kids do basketball, football, acting, fucking all these things. And it's like, well, you got to give them that element of, being exposed to other things.
But I would say this, same thing here in the States.
Hmm.
Are so many activities pulling at our children.
Yes.
But I said to the parents, if you see the value, you're going to figure out how to get them here. So our Confident Kids classes are Monday, Wednesdays at 5:30, 6:30.
Yes.
It's a drop off school. Get them here at 5:15, burn off the energy, have fun, lock them down.
Got it.
1 hour class, they're out the door. But my whole thing, my whole philosophy really is
Yes.
give them to me. I will mind, body, strength. I
Yes.
guarantee you, if they're a good athlete, I'll make them a great athlete. Why?
Got it.
You're going to see your daughter who will not attack a soccer ball, be fearful or fearless going
Yes.
for the
Yes.
ball,
Yes. Yes.
or
Yes.
fear.
Yes.
You'll see timid kids become strong kids. And so my whole thing was to the mat, to the real world.
Yes.
So, I don't want you here 7 days a week, 2 days. That's all
Got
I
it.
want you. And then when you get old enough to make a decision, I want to be here more, then you go to the other class. That's
Yes.
it.
Nice. Yep.
But let me tell you, I have a full business, like a
Yes.
very successful business. I've been running that business for 30 years, and it's given me the financial freedom to do the martial arts when I want, how I want. We
Awesome.
have yeah, we've got a few hundred students in the Ukraine. We've traveled there multiple
Okay.
times. We started the Phoenix branch there.
Oh, well done.
Um,
I see now. Yeah. Great. Yes.
we've
Yes.
got a
Yes.
lot of Phoenix birds,
Flying around.
Rwanda, Joy, all over the place. So it's pretty interesting. I don't know about Australia.
Mate, Australia, we're very, very lucky. We're very, very blessed. We've had two pioneers set up Kyokushin over the last 60 years. Hunchy John Taylor, who passed away this year, and Hunchy Eddie M. And Hunchy John Taylor, 88, passed away, and Hunchy Eddie M. and who's under my lineage, 93, 92, 93 years old. So they have, and they are the forefathers of the pedigree of all the masters now who have come through. And it is a very, very strong martial art here in Australia. It has been, and the Shihans now. My Shihan is one of the youngest Shians. He's fringe of 60, and then the middle tier Shians are in their late 60s, early 70s, and so we're very, very blessed and lucky. Yeah.
Well, when I think of Kyokushin, I've always seen Australia as having a great contingent of Kyokushin fighters. I mean, it's been wonderful. Our one of our Shians, Shian Kathy, she's seventh degree in
Wow.
Phoenix. She's been training for I guess about 40 plus years, and very
Wow.
accomplished. And she's traveled to Australia several times, and she's had some wonderful experiences training in Australia, Kyokushin. So
Well,
very cool. I would say that was one thing I can tell you. I think my Concho and Phoenix has done very well is with women. I think
mm,
Shion Kathy really led the charge of women in a time when there were not many women fighting Kyokushin.
got it.
And I think that, my Concho was like, hey, open the doors. Like we teach everybody and anybody.
Sure.
And it's interesting. We have a really wonderful contingent of women at Phoenix. And there's one video of two of our
Yes.
Phoenix girls.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw it.
Seen it.
Um,
Very good.
that's Sensei Chloe and Senpai Taylor. Now, what's interesting is I know what it is. You know what that was.
Yes.
It's a dojo
Yep.
kumite, two kids that know each other well. They're
Yep.
not trying to kill each other, but they're getting after
Good
it.
sparring. Good
And
fighting.
and
Yep.
yeah, and no, they didn't throw one front because people are like, why aren't they throwing front snaps?
Ah,
Why are
shut
there
up.
no spinning backs? Who the fuck knows? They're two girls just getting
Yeah.
after
Chill
it.
out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like next week they may be only throwing knees, but in that day, that's what they did. But I tell you what, that one video, if you look at it across all the spectrums, um, YouTube, boom,
Sure.
one over a million. Facebook, 2.5 million views. Thousands of
Unreal.
comments, shares. TikTok, 1.5 million. And I was like, holy shit,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
it was remarkable. But what was more remarkable was the wonderful feedback that these
Yes.
two women got. And
Kudos.
yes, there's a lot of goofy, dopey son of a guns responding, but there's a lot of really good positive feedback. And what I try to tell people is like, no, they're not on the street, but it's a hell of a wonderful, it's like look at the human endeavor. Look what's
Correct.
happening.
You,
Look at these two warriors banging it out and
yeah.
hugging at the end.
Yes.
And it's just, I think what we do is awesome.
Yeah. So, in our last 5 minutes, Ishi, I told you it would fly, mate. This is the key thing that you're bringing up that I'm taking away is the exposure that you're giving Kyokushin and that your awesome students are giving Kyokushin is second to none. That's the exposure that's been lacking. The reasoning and the explanation of all that, in Australia, we say, fuck that. Don't worry about that shit. But what you and I hope many others, and I'm a culprit at the minute, I should be putting out, should be meaning I'd love to get it more out there because getting it more out there acknowledges all those things that you've just honored then and just gestured in comparative to the nonsense and the garbage that comes from it. I, I've got that feeling of what would Sosai do? If he was already one of the pioneers in the 70s and 80s of how he marketed Kyokushin / full contact karate, how would he be now? What would he be doing now? Could you imagine?
Constant, 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 constant
And
video,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
pumping
And
it out.
and I can feel his presence of I call it the tap on the shoulder of keep getting it out there, mate. Keep getting it out there because I'm not there. So, and I always kind of cringe as to how he would feel, or cringe meaning in a good martial art marketing way as to how the boom of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the boom of any other martial art. And he'd be like, no, no, no. No, no, no. We've got a platform here, and you guys and girls and everyone need to continue to keep that positive energy and keep putting it out there. And again, in giving you the floor to finish off here, kudos to you in doing what you've done and in the short amount of time that you've done, but in acknowledging your journey of nearly 40 years in the arts. It's been awesome chatting to you about it. And I hope you guys and girls and everyone out there under the Phoenix Way continue to do that because it's inspiring and motivating a lad down in Torquay here to keep it going as well. And it's been a real pleasure and honor talking to you, Shian.
Well, listen, continue doing what you're doing because I watched your videos and, you're bringing people on and keeping Kyokushin relevant and letting
Us,
people know what else is going on out there. And I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's what our journey is. And to end, I would tell you this, when you asked about social media, I said my whole goal now really is keeping the tenets, the old school tenets of Kyokushin alive,
us,
but keeping it relevant in this modern day and obviously to give some notoriety to Phoenix and to the
yes.
legacy that we've built. And I think that that's very important to me.
Very good, very good. Everyone out there, uh, follow on the Instagram page, The Phoenix Way, and then his website, thephoenixway.com. What's your YouTube channel, Shian? What's
The Phoenix Way on
the Phoenix
YouTube,
Way?
Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. The Phoenix Way.
Get around it, get around it, and get around it is all I say. And well done to you and everyone out in New Jersey and the Phoenix Way, and continue out the great work. Love speaking to you. Hopefully, we can catch up maybe in regards to another chat at another time, and hopefully, everything goes well for you for the rest of the year. Big us to you, Shian. Us, us.
Oos.
Lovely
Thanks
talking
for
to you.
having me. Okay,
Us.
Oos.